From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
I'm Jonathan Ambarian at the state capitol. As the ongoing federal government shutdown means people may not receive SNAP nutrition benefits for the month of November, some advocates are asking the state to step in to keep benefits going temporarily. I asked Governor Greg Gianforte about those proposals.
I have reconciled the books. I have tied them to source documents.
Reviewing the books, how a senior center in Roundup is surviving with their funding suspended since early summer.
Voters have up until 5 p.m. the day after the election to resolve any issues.
And hundreds of votes rejected. The reason behind why more than 700 early ballots aren't being tallied and how it's not too late for voters to fix it. Those stories and much more coming up in the next hour. Good morning and welcome back to Montana This Morning on this Wednesday, October 29th. I'm Hailey Monaco here with Miller Robson. Miller, we are so close to the end of October.
Yes.
I can't believe it.
It is crazy. Halloween is on Friday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
November, this weekend.
Here we come.
We got daylight saving time coming to an end.
My goodness.
All kind of good news there.
Yeah, sure. You can put it that way.
There you go. Well, good morning, everyone, and good morning, Hailey. Welcome to Wednesday, everybody, as we're into the middle of the week and the final days of Halloween. How did yesterday wrap up? Highs and lows here in Billings, officially at the airport, about 4 degrees below norm, 49, and a low of 28. Was a bit breezy yesterday. Definitely a chance to be a little bit windier today, especially around the western foothills and to our north because we got this cold front coming through and that gap flow wind really going to tighten up. I mean, Livingston, you can have gusts up to 60 miles an hour along the Beartooth foothills as well through lunchtime today. That's where that wind advisory is in effect. Was a dry day yesterday. I actually took a trip down to Wyoming yesterday and the weather was just absolutely gorgeous. A lot of sunshine out there, dry, but we're still pacing ahead for the month and for the year. Temperatures across the area quickly, 41 in Livingston, our warmer spot because of the winds there. 38 right now in White Sulphur Springs, 35 in Roundup, 29 in Miles City, 30 in Broadus. We've got 31 in Red Lodge, 21 currently in Sheridan, 28 in Cody. We got 37 right now. It's warmed up just a smidge here in Billings, officially at the airport, but it feels like 31. Winds out the southwest at about 8 miles an hour. So we'll see some clouds today. We'll stay dry, maybe a slight chance of rain this evening. By lunchtime, we'll be into the 50s. By the time we head home, around 60 today. But you can see still some 50s over across the eastern plains and down in northern parts of Wyoming. But there's your big story. Yeah, they just had a gust of 52 in Livingston. The downslope flow kind of warming you up just a little bit. So very windy across the area today, but that will start to taper off. Will it affect Halloween? I know a lot of kids want to know about Halloween. We'll tell you that forecast coming up here in just a bit.
Sounds great, Miller. Thank you.
Okie-doke.
And on Capitol Hill, the Senate failed for the 13th time on Tuesday to advance a funding bill to open the government. Democrats hold out for an extension to health care subsidies that they say will dramatically raise premiums for millions if allowed to expire. Meanwhile, 25 states and the District of Columbia are suing the Trump administration over plans to freeze SNAP food assistance payments, arguing the law requires the government to provide those funds for November. 42 million Americans are in danger of losing federal food assistance November 1st because of the government shutdown. Montana has close to 80,000 SNAP recipients. And with federal funding set to run out for SNAP benefits this week, thousands of Montanans may not receive the payments they're expecting. Now, some advocates and lawmakers are calling for the state to step in and fill the gap temporarily. MTN senior political reporter Jonathan Ambarian asked Governor Greg Gianforte if he was open to taking that kind of action.
Earlier this month, the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services announced that federal authorities had directed states not to issue SNAP nutrition benefits for the month of November during the federal government shutdown. But in some states, leaders have tried to find ways to use local or state money to keep benefits flowing temporarily. Here in Montana, DPHHS reports almost 78,000 people were enrolled in SNAP in September, with an average monthly benefit of $332 per household. Democratic lawmakers say they're hoping the state will tap into some leftover funds to help cover those benefits for now.
Those are 77,000 families who are reliant on that food for just basic needs. We believe there are options for some temporary funding to make sure that those SNAP benefits continue, and we really encourage the governor to explore those and take advantage of those options.
The Montana Food Bank Network and other organizations also sent a letter to Governor Greg Gianforte, saying a disruption in SNAP payments would be devastating for families, retailers, and producers. They said, quote, "Ensuring uninterrupted SNAP benefits is not only a matter of compassion, it is a matter of economic stability, public health, and responsible governance." On Tuesday, I asked Gianforte whether his administration was considering using state money to support SNAP. He said he sees it as the federal government's responsibility and that there's no guarantee the state would be repaid.
This is a federal program, and we need the federal government to fund it. Without any promise of reimbursement, there's really no way for the state of Montana to do that.
Like congressional Republicans, Gianforte has blamed Democratic senators for holding up a funding extension.
In the meantime, if they continue trying to extort $1.5 trillion from the taxpayers of America, I just encourage Montanans to do what they can in their communities through their local food bank to make sure food stays on the table here in the state.
In a letter shared by DPHHS, federal authorities said people who receive SNAP will be able to continue using the benefits that have already been issued on their electronic benefit transfer card prior to November 1st, but that no new benefits will be issued until the shutdown is resolved. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
Jonathan, great story. Thank you. Now, according to a recent poll, support behind Montana's political leaders is not exactly strong at the moment. That's according to MSU Billings' new Mountain State study released just yesterday. The poll, which is done by 11 political science students, received more than 850 responses through online surveys and phone calls. This year's results showed that Governor Greg Gianforte's approval rating now sits at 37%, with Senator Steve Daines coming in even lower at 31%. Montana's other senator, Tim Sheehy, with a 34% approval rating. In almost all of the cases, around 35% of those responding reported being neutral or unfamiliar with the candidate. Now, on the national level, Montanans are equally satisfied and dissatisfied with the policies of President Trump, with 41% happy and 41% unhappy with his performance. The one thing most agree on, 73%, is that the U.S. politics have become more polarizing. The margin of error on this poll is 3.35%. Well, the Senior Center in Roundup is surviving this morning despite no funding since April. It comes after allegations of misuse of funds, something the center denies, saying there is no gross negligence. As our Vanessa Willardson reports, they have been operating solely on donations for those 7 months, but now they're looking to get that funding back.
Betty Haynes.
I come partly because it's like a family.
The Roundup Senior Center is an important part of her community.
The veterans are really close here, and I appreciate them and everything, and so we come to support them and to feed the elderly.
But that senior center has been functioning off of donations for nearly 7 months.
We're doing our best that we can, and you can see where the money was spent.
It's due to claims that the center mismanaged money.
We're not blowing it.
In June, Marcy Brookie, Executive Director of Area 2 Agency on Aging, which funds the center, told the center they would no longer receive funding. She claims it was due to inadequate financial controls and accusations of internal embezzlement, among other items. But according to accountant Melissa Carlson, who reviewed the center's books,
I have reconciled the books. I have tied them to source documents.
that is not the case.
They had $100,000 reserves, which they no longer have. And what I found is that with increasing their services and inflation, most of that went to raw food and then cooks' wages.
The board held a meeting Tuesday afternoon with hopes to show Brookie the review and take steps to restore funding.
We'd like to get our funding returned, and we'd like to get a lot of questions answered.
The board did invite Brookie and the Musselshell County Commissioner, who is appointed to sit in on these meetings. However, both of them did not attend.
This board had reached out to that board asking for some of the evidence of the accusations that were presented to us. We've never heard back from that board.
We reached out to Brookie to hear her side of the story, but have not received an answer. In Billings, Vanessa Willardson, MTN News.
Vanessa, thank you for the story. Now, 880 ballots rejected in Yellowstone County. That's 5% of votes so far. So why is that the case? Well, a new ruling requiring voters to write their birth year next to their signature on the envelope. With election night just a week away, county officials are scrambling to fix this problem. Our Charlie Kleps has the story.
Busy days at the Yellowstone County Elections Office.
So these numbers change, as we talked about, constantly
as early ballots make their way to be counted. Though this year, election administrator Dana Cosby is being faced with a different count.
We are still entering in our rejected ballots into the system.
Cosby says of the more than 17,000 votes cast so far, about 880 are not being counted, most of which are missing the voter's date of birth.
80% of the 880 ballots that we show as rejected at this moment are from not including the birth year.
That requirement is the result of a state legislation authored by Republican Representative Braxton Mitchell of Columbia Falls. He says adding a birth year is an attempt to increase voter security.
The other 20% are either from not including a signature and the birth year, or a signature mismatch.
Cosby says her office is working tirelessly to make sure that ballots are counted in time.
We're taking the extra steps of finding voters' contact information, whether that be by phone or email or both.
Once contacted, voters have until 5 p.m. the day after the election to resolve those issues. That means submitting the proper paperwork with a photo ID by either mail, email, or in person.
Some of the public is completely happy with the situation. Some members of the public are not as excited about this particular new law.
And while not everyone is thrilled by the extra step of adding your birth year, Cosby says all she's focused on is making sure every voice is heard.
The entirety of my job is that every eligible ballot that can count is counted.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Great information, Charlie. Thank you. Now, in the coming hours, President Trump is expected to meet with the president of China. A trade deal on certain issues may be possible, and one group of Americans paying close attention to this meeting are the soybean farmers. Our Joe St. George reports from Washington.
For over 10 months, the trade tensions between the U.S. and China have been felt across the global economy. The technology industry has been impacted by China's threat to restrict rare earth elements needed to make things like smartphones. Big box stores have been impacted by the price of Chinese-made products and tariffs. But you don't need to be a major CEO in a big city to feel the impacts. Farmers have as well and are desperate for a trade deal this week.
The expectations are high for the first meeting between President Donald Trump and President Xi Jinping of China since 2019. These are just some of the issues that the two leaders are expected to discuss, ranging from tariffs to fentanyl to TikTok.
I'm in the seat of the combine right now. I'm cutting soybeans. I'll turn it around so that you can see.
For farmers like Chris Cherry and David Harden, they are anxiously awaiting this meeting in the hopes it brings about a deal involving soybeans. According to the American Farm Bureau Federation, in 2024, half of all soybeans exported from the United States went to China. This year, China has boycotted American soybeans because of the ongoing trade war. There are soybean crops that are just not being bought. They're sitting in storage.
That's correct. Just about all of them have gone into bins, gone into storage, waiting and hoping for, a resolution.
These farmers from Indiana telling the Scripps News Group that the economic impacts have been significant.
We need to have a deal done for us to be back to be where we're profitable.
Midwest soybean producers are going to be looking at somewhere around $100 per acre loss this year.
There is a reason for farmers to be optimistic. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent met with his Chinese counterparts over the weekend and announced a framework has been agreed to that could lead to a possible trade deal. The secretary has implied it would include soybean relief. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins spoke with the Scripps News Group Tuesday.
Good news for our soybean farmers, and we're grateful, hopefully when that deal gets inked, to be able to move some of those soybeans, those great American soybeans, out across the world.
Joe St. George, Scripps News Group, Washington.